Welcome into 11 Personnel, presented by our good friends at Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett, and we're here to give you the latest on the Kentucky football program as Will Stein gets fall camp rocking and rolling. We're now a week in. We're going to have more updates to share and plenty to discuss on today's show. But first, I do got to start by talking about our friends at Monticello Bank. They've been in business since 1895, giving the Commonwealth the best rates possible for all of your banking needs. Ever wanted to check them out? Well, come check us out. Next week, we're going to be at the Beaumont Center. That's right. August 19th, Hump Day, at lunchtime. Come hang out with us on Beaumont and Lexington. That's one of their, I believe, 21 locations in 15 counties across the Commonwealth. They've got multiple ones around Lexington, including the one off Harrodsburg Road in the Beaumont Center. Mark Stoops' old neck of the woods. Monticello Bank, come see about it. Come visit us. We're hanging out with a little preseason 11 personnel next Wednesday around lunchtime, noon. Come hang out with us then. And if you can't hang out with us then, just visit Monticello Bank online, nbcbank.com, Monticello Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, and proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. We get to get out on the road. It's fun. We get to get moving, kind of, see some sights, see some things. Be a good time.
Yeah, busy month for 11 Personnel. Fun time to be subscribed to the KSR YouTube channel. We've got a lot of content coming your way, a lot of video content coming your way. So it's going to be a fun few weeks here, and then it's going to be a fun season. Can't wait to get it. I'm ready for it to get here at this point, obviously, as I think everyone else is. So, but it'll be here before we know it, and then the in-season grind comes, and with that comes a nice little rhythm, Nick Roush. Very much looking forward to the rhythm of the season.
Right, because there is none right now. It's just kind of all over the place. Schedules are changing. What's happening? What's going on? We're figuring it out. When do we let the cat out of the bag? Do we do that? Do we do that now?
Yeah, we might as well just get it out of the way.
Just rip off the Band-Aid now? Okay. Folks, if you were wanting some more 11 personnel, I got some good news for you. We're going daily, okay? Every day you're going to get a new Kentucky football podcast locked, loaded, ready to roll, starting with the KSR football podcast on Monday. Be recapping it. And then 11 personnel Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So not every single show is going to look the same. I know that might sound overwhelming, but here's the thing. When I listen to podcasts, sometimes I just want 20 minutes while I'm making dinner. Well, we're going to give you some of those 20-minute shows. We're going to be talking to people. We're going to be breaking down scouting reports a little bit more intently. So we're just giving the people some more, and it's going to look a little different, but it's going to be the same 11 personnel with Nick Roush and Adam Luckett, giving you more as the Will Stein era kicks off. Expect that to be hitting the YouTubes at 6 o'clock at night. And then the following morning, you'll be able to get that on all of your podcast feeds. So something to look forward to this fall. The people want more. We got to give it to them, Luckett. It's our obligation as KSR gas bags.
And of course, Kentucky KSR football podcast, will start. That'll be Monday like normal. Mm-hmm. Every Monday, you'll see the KSR football podcast, and then we'll go throughout the week because we're still doing our traditional Wednesday episode, hour that we typically do every week. Mm-hmm. That's not changing. That's still going to be here.
Yeah.
But the other content around that is going to be more 20, 30 minutes. We'll see, kind of find our sweet spot there, just to cover some of the other stuff that happens during the week that we can't get to on Wednesday or that happens later than that.
Yeah.
Right. We'll preview the weekend. I'm very much looking forward to, I write the scouting report every week during the season, and there's always stuff I learn or I think find key matchups, and we're going to give those, I think, more attention where I don't really have those ready per se when we go live on Wednesday. So we're going to be able to get more in depth in previewing the stuff, going to be able to do some different things with all this. And then obviously going to even be able to look at the college football card and kind of dive into that and preview that as well outside of Kentucky. So I think it's going to be fun. I think people are going to enjoy it, and you can expect to see it every day. KSR YouTube channel, 6 o'clock, and it'll be in your podcast feeds if you rather consume it that way as well.
Yeah, so we're fired up for it. Hopefully we can get a guest. My goal is to get a guest each week that can maybe dish on the other team or just talk about the Cats. So we can sprinkle that in as well. It should be a lot of fun. Will Stein, he's got the fuel to launch this rocket into outer space. So we're just trying to hop along for the ride. And we appreciate it if you'd subscribe and just hang out with us, whether it's on the podcast feed or right here on the YouTube channel. We'll have plenty coming. And the plan, we'll wait to do the football podcast until game week, but I think starting next week you'll get a lot more of that. Tuesday, Wednesday. Are we gonna go daily starting next week, Luckett?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
we can just wing it. Why not?
Well, we got to get our practice reps in too. It's fall camp for us as well, so we're gonna get to it. But let's just get into today's show. Let's not dilly dally around anymore with programming, alerts, and announcements. Because Luckett, I stumbled into something incredible last week, and it's actually with. By listening to somebody else talk. I enjoy Brandon Walker, the Mississippi State superfan who works at Barstool Sports, and he put out his new show, and I'm like, let's see what Brandon Walker's cooking up. And turns out he's just really high on both Will Stein and Louisville this year, which created a fun conversation, which I think is a total just disservice. Like, it really just goes to show how bad the state of Louisville media is, that like this hasn't been a talking point in local Louisville radio, because everybody I think has gotten transfixed on the coaching and all of the wires being crossed, the Vince Marrows, the Pete Noctis, Will Steins, Jeff Brohms, Trinity. Like, everybody has focused on that we have the most, I mean, it is just perfectly laid out, the perfect comp to start off this new era of Kentucky football, Louisville football, Governor's Cup rivalry. Because you have two quarterbacks who are not necessarily identical in talent, but they have very similar backgrounds. And they are going to quarterback guru coaches in the same year, starting at the same time. In Jeff Brohm's case, I don't know if has he taken a guy like this before?
No, no, that is the thing here. Before we get started, Nick, do you remember we were in Jacksonville? Kentucky had just lost the Gator Bowl to Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
We and a group of friends of the program went to a B-Dubs. Do you remember this? We watched the Kentucky basketball game at that B-Dubs. Also, there was a bowl game going on. It was the Cotton Bowl between Ohio State and Missouri.
Missouri.
Do you know who started that Cotton Bowl at quarterback for Ohio State?
Was it Keenholz before Devin Smith got in?
It was Keenholz, in a big surprise before Devin Brown. Everyone thought they would start Devin Brown.
Yeah. He wore number 98, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, some weird number. They started Keenholz, and it did not go well. Like,
no.
6 for 17. Anyone who watched that game remembers it, right? Because it was like a slobber knocker of a game.
It was a weird, ugly football game that got Missouri to 11 wins, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, like a monstrous win. Drinkowitz was beating his chest. It was 3-0 for the longest time. Then Missouri scored a couple touchdowns late.
Yeah,
but that didn't go well. Keenholz was like the backup last year. Had some good moments as a backup. But I believe Tavian St. Clair came in this year as kind of the 5-star. He's going to be Ohio State's probably next starting quarterback potentially. So Keenholz was going to be QB3 at Ohio State this year after, I believe, 3 years. It would have been year 3, I think it is for him.
So both Minchey and Keenholz are class of 2023 prospects. And in the Rivals...
this is his 4th year, yeah.
In the Rivals industry ranking, Minchey was the number 14 quarterback. Keenholz was the number 15 quarterback. Identical recruiting rankings. Both go to power programs. I think the point you're making is that it's a little bit more nuanced when it says they were in a quarterback competition. They got beat out. Like, Keenholz got a little bit more rope, but it didn't feel very close in the Ohio. It did, at least in my opinion. It felt like Julian Sayin was getting it all the way. Whereas last year, the Notre Dame folks did. Like, it was kind of up in the air down to the last week or so. It felt like C.J. Carr was always going to be the guy, but people in the program said, I don't know, watch out for this Minchey guy. the weird part that we don't talk much about, like that we need to mention about Minchey that we never do, he only played in 4 games his senior year. So it's not hurt. It's not just that the tape is limited from Notre Dame. It's also to senior high school season. So, like, I think that's worth mentioning. They are different players. Keenholtz, big, strong runner. He's got a lot of Will Levis to him, in my opinion. Whereas Minchey, probably better athlete than you expect, but he's running to extend plays and throw the ball downfield, not necessarily to get yards. So laying these two things all out there, we're getting a good, even though they're different skill-wise, this is a good sort of litmus test. You know, we don't have all the controls, all the variables in our scientific method, but it's pretty damn close. And the fun part is that whenever that Brandon Walker posed this question to Tom Fornelli, who does Cover 3 podcast, CBS Sports, number 1 Big Ten homer, I like to joke, but Big Ten guy. They're both high on Louisville, but Fornelli picked Minchey because of the track record that Will Stein has at quarterback, where he essentially has not missed. And Luckett, when I presented that out there, just saying that, you know, this is what people are saying. Louisville fans lost their minds. But Luckett, it's weird to say this, but Will Stein does have there haven't been misses like there have been with Brohm, because what's his name last year? Miller Moss was a huge miss. Huge miss. They pulled a Billy Gillespie with Miller Moss. Billy Gillespie beats Louisville at Rupp Arena in the NCAA tournament, so they think he's good. Miller Moss threw for 700 yards and 18 touchdowns against Louisville in the Holiday Bowl. Miller Moss must be good. They get him, and he stinks. Louisville fans were ready to riot after that game.
Yeah, I want to talk about Keenholtz's kind of play style and what it could be with Brohm, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, Brohm as a coach has had more the peaks and valleys have just been there, right?
Yes.
Like he gets fired at Louisville, right?
Yes.
The Tom Jurich thing. Not to revisit that.
Right. Jurich makes him the fall guy for Cragthorpe.
Like he has to go and work at UAB and Illinois and all these places.
FAU.
He reemerges with Bobby at WKU in 2013. How old is Jeff now, Nick? That was 13 years ago. 55, I want to say. Is he that old?
Maybe not that old. I mean, he's in high school in 90. So
we got Wikipedia here.
I'm bad at math on the fly.
Jeff Brohm is 55 years old. He just turned 55.
Nailed it on the head. There you go.
So that was 13 years ago. So he was 42 at that time. That was just being the offensive coordinator under Bobby at WKU. So he was 42 the year before he gets his first head coaching job, right? Mm-hmm. Will Stein is 36. He turned 37 during the season. Like he was obviously their trajectories are just different.
Yes.
Where Stein got on with the rocket ship at Oregon, right? And that's really where his career took off, where Jeff had to kind of grind. Though there were more peaks and valleys that way, I guess is what I say. Because Jeff had to coach at WKU, get them ramped up, and then go to Purdue, and then go to Louisville. We all know. So, yeah, there's been more peaks and valleys. So there have been more misses, but Jeff has had more at-bats, right?
That's true. A lot more at-bats. Yeah.
So, yeah, but Stein hasn't missed on quarterback, and that's the big selling point. And you look at high school recruiting right now, the kids are eating it up, right, what he's selling, because what his track record to this point, where Brohm has had more swings and misses, I would say. But they both have done kind of the portal thing. Like Nix, now he inherited Bo Nix, but Bo Nix was a transfer at Oregon.
Correct. So
Dylan Gabriel transfer. Dante Moore transfer, who sat for a year but was a transfer. And now Kenny Minchey transfer. Now Brohm, he didn't really do this at Purdue, but he's done it at Louisville, right?
Correct.
Jack Plummer transfer.
Worked out all right. And that one a little weird too, because he had coached Plummer previously at Purdue. So he recruited him out of high school. So it was a little bit different. But Shuck was a mystery man that is probably his best
hadn't
quarterback.
Stayed healthy. It hadn't stayed healthy, really. It was kind of the thing with Shuck. They had the coaching change. They went from Cristobal to Lanning, right? Gets a little lost in the shuffle. Goes to Louisville. Was a big hit for them. And now he's got
Texas Tech too. But yeah,
right. Yeah, now I forgot about the stop at Texas Tech. Right, goes there. Has was there before they really got resourced. And then right now he's with the Saints, and there's a lot of buzz for him entering this season. So that was a big hit. And then last year, Miller Moss.
Yeah, catastrophe.
Swing and a miss. If it doesn't work out well with Lincoln Riley, the lesson there should probably be you probably shouldn't.
That's where they're. Is it Briggs Cherry Briggs? She's
Cherry.
My cherry pie. Briggs Cherry. If I talk to some of my Louisville fan friends, they're describing Keen Holtz as a holdover to get to Briggs Cherry, who is a true freshman, went to the Baylor school.
Well, they keep saying this.
Factory.
They keep saying this, but he's the first legitimate one, I would say.
Probably. Right, yeah. Pierce Clarkson never was going to play college football. It didn't stand a chance. But this guy could be legit. That's the same place where they've got.
Well, they said that about Deuce Adams, right? Like that was the thing about Deuce Adams too. I think was last year Moss and get it to Deuce Adams, and now Deuce Adams is a backup quarterback at Wisconsin.
That's true.
So we'll see. You never know on that. We'll see.
I think the most fascinating thing just in this experiment, this, if you will, whose supporting cast is better, and who benefits more from it? Because I think there are some legitimate concerns about Louisville's pass catchers outside of Trey Richardson, who has
that is. I agree, 100%.
He's got a knack for not being healthy. Outside of that, you're like, I don't really know what they have, but they do have the talent at running back. Even if Isaac Brown is boxing on the sideline and riding his exercise bike, they got some dudes in that room that you just know you can turn it off, and they're going to get 1,000 yards. They could rush for 3,000 yards against ACC defenses this year.
Right. The biggest concern to me, Nick, with Louisville. Now, I want to say this before I dive in. I have a lot better feel for these teams after I go through my scouting report process.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm doing those preseason right now. Oklahoma went up this morning, Wednesday, August 12th. In Louisville, I'll get to that probably not next week, the week after. It's probably week 0 week when I'll finally get to them, when I finish this thing up. So I have a better feel, but just doing some digging on their roster, offensive line wise, Nick, they did the whole thing where they portaled it again. They got a transfer from Georgia Southern's going to start at guard, I believe. A transfer from Boston College is going to start at guard. Transfer from South Carolina with an injury to history. Casey Henry's going to start at right tackle, and then a Delaware transfer, Anwar O'Neal is going to start at left tackle. The thing with Louisville is they are an injury away from this offensive line being in dire straits, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they might be an injury away from, remember this name? Jarvis Strickland potentially playing
true freshman
this season for them. So, how does this offensive line work out? That's the big – it feels like every year it's with them. Where are we at with this offensive line for Louisville? Feels like we have that conversation every year. But, yeah, a receiver like LaWayne McCoy, the Florida State transfer, didn't really play. I think they're highly dependent on him, really hitting. And after that, they've got a bunch of who knows at wide receiver. And then they got that Tulsa transfer at tight end, Brody Foley, that a lot of people like. But, yeah, I think receiver's a pretty big question. I'm getting to this with Louisville to say Brohm's never really had a running quarterback.
No.
At Purdue, he didn't have one. WKU, he didn't have one. He wasn't with Bobby when Bobby did the transformation from strictly wasn't pro style quarterbacks to, okay, I'm got Lamar and now I want to stay in this world. We're seeing Bobby, he's wanted to stay in this world.
Taylor Green.
He went and got Taylor Green in Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
So he's wanted to stay in this world.
In Brohm's case,
Brohm has not done that yet.
No, Shuck was a good runner, but I think you would almost say that he's had some of the least athletic quarterbacks I've seen up until this point.
Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah, just absolute concrete shoes, could not move at all. And now you're getting a runner. So what does that look like?
Right.
No idea.
So I say all this to say, Louisville's roster, I'm interested to see how the coordinator change on defense shakes
Yeah,
out.
which
They've
is a
got
whole other story. Yeah.
they've got players on defense now. Like a lot of players I really like.
Clev
Stanquan Clark.
Lubin, really
Clev
good.
Lubin's a stud. Stanquan Clark's a stud. AJ Green is not talked about, but an edge rusher. Like I think he can be a very good player for them. TJ Capers, I think, could be a good linebacker. Antonio Watts is one of the best nickel players, I think, in college football. Tayon Holloway is a good cornerback returning. Like they've got some ball players on defense, in my opinion. So I think their defense is going to be pretty salty this year. It's what can they do on offense? And we know Brown is an electric factory at tailback. Kewan Brown, I really liked last year. I was really impressed with him. So, like, do they just become like, how do they transform this run game? And then what does the pass game look off of it? Because Brohm has talked about one second, I'll let you go. He's talked about like, I think they're going to be kind of a run-first offense, and he's talked about stretching the field vertically. Like, you hear him talk, and Brohm says nothing. If anyone's ever listened to Jeff Brohm talking to a microphone, he really says nothing.
Absolutely.
But he has admitted, like, we've got to get more vertical as an offense, and that's what, like, Trent Richardson did last year. Is it Trent Richardson? Trey Richardson.
Yeah.
That's what Trey Richardson did last year. Go turn on the Kentucky Vanderbilt tape if you don't remember. So – yeah, I think I'm very interested to just see what their offense looks like this year because it is a little different.
I think what they do, like it, we all know that Vince Marrow is well known for his X's and O's savvy. The scheme is the scheme. He's an expert at it. He's a master of it. I think they just play Lynn Bowden ball with Keenholz. We're going to go back to wide receivers who are blockers, and that's how we're going to play it straight up. So, yeah, I think that's the move. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're just fascinating. They're fascinating because Keenholz was like a great athlete. Like, like every time in the draft, Nick, there's a guy that played for Iowa, and we hear everyone talk about how great of an athlete this guy was. Like, like
he's a freak.
Three times all-state champion wrestler, can squat 800 pounds.
Right.
Tristan Wirfs, he can jump out of a pool. Look at this. Like, another athletic freak came out of Iowa. That's what kind of Keenholz was in South Dakota. Played all the sports. Was hit 400 as a baseball player. Ran for like 1,300 yards. All of this. But I think the one caveat with him is not a super strong arm and just needed a lot of development as a passer. And so where does that look like specifically with these receivers? He's kind of how this offense look is pretty fascinating. It's hard to handicap stylistically, other than like we're going to want to get these two tailbacks to football because they are our best players. Other than that, it's kind of hard to figure out what exactly they're going to be on offense.
And there's probably some of you who are like, guys, why am I watching you all talk Louisville on this Kentucky show? There's probably some Louisville fans out there who are saying, you're so obsessed. Blah, 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 blah. Guys, we're breaking down the rivalry in August, okay? And I think the point, too, is that there are just as many uncertainties with the team who's got a coach coming back for their fourth year as there is for a first-time head coach. I think it's fascinating in the way that each coach talks about the players. I don't have the same amount. Like, Jeff is just swirly and says very little when he's in the media. And that's just how he operates. Stein might just be like, I think he just operates differently. So he's going to give a lot more praise. So I'm not going to read a ton into that. But I do think that unlike Keenholz, Minchey's going to have to be the powertrain of the Kentucky offense. The schedule is going to be more difficult. But if Kentucky's going to be worth a damn, it's because of Minchey. Whereas I think Louisville, they won't succeed in spite of Keenholz, but they don't have to have him to be good.
They could win 9 games, and Keenholz is just okay.
Yeah, they can just play defense around the football, right? Whereas like in Kentucky's case, Minchey's got to be the man, and there's really no way around it. So that's where I like if you're saying straight up who's going to be better. Like, if Kentucky's going to be worth a damn and this game's going to be close and Thanksgiving Saturday, then it has to be Minchey. It just has to.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Like, it's first year for Kentucky, obviously. Like, there's some roster building that takes year over year to do that Kentucky's going to have to get set and get their roster in the shape they want it moving forward. But eventually they're going to Stein's going to have the team that he envisioned, and then Brohm's going to be moving on at Louisville, just kind of building.
Mm-hmm.
And these two are just going to be judged together. Yeah. And they're ultimately going to be judged on, Nick, to me. It's going to wins and losses, but also the quarterback, right?
Correct.
Like what happens with your offense, but really at the quarterback position. I think you look at Louisville right now, and Brohm has obviously brought, like, he's improved them. There's no doubt, like, that he's improved them. They've won 9 games, I think, every year, but they haven't really taken off on offense yet, Nick. When you look at, other than the Shuck year was great. Like, they were really a problem on offense that year, but they haven't, I don't think it's been what Louisville fans kind of thought it would be. Their rankings in, SP Plus, 46, 8, 40 under Brohm, which kind of checks out. If you kind of watch, if you remember that year 1 and year 3 offense, they've kind of been on offense. And so, and then you look at what he did at Purdue, like, it was good for Purdue, but he never really had that juggernaut on offense, where Stein has had that his whole career. He had it at UTSA and he had it at Oregon, like top 25 offense at UTSA, top 10 every year at Oregon. So, like, what does that look? I think they're just going to be judged, and that the rivalry talk is going to be kind of around all of it, the offense and the quarterback. Quarterback play.
We're seeing it with Kelsey and Pope because they arrived in the same year. That applies specifically to these quarterbacks, but the coaches in general, their backgrounds and everything, like, it's going to be, that's where the attention is going to be. And it's also, it feels good to be in this space like it, because this is the space we grew up in, where they were 2 quarterback schools, right? That's what those programs were for 20 years. Between Lorenzen, Couch, Dusty Bonner had that big year, Woodson, on the other side, Redmond, LaFours, Brohm, who is the Ragone, right? Like, that's what this rivalry was for the longest time. And so we're getting back to that with guys who played in the rivalry on the other side. So I guess Jeff technically didn't play in the rivalry, coached in it for a little bit. But I enjoy this conversation. I think it's going to be an enormous one throughout the season here locally. And I think if you just gauge the fan bases too, like it, there's a lot more optimism about Kenny Minchey for Kentucky fans than there is for Lincoln Keenholz and Louisville fans. There's a little trepidation there.
There is, but I think Kentucky as a program in general does better promoting than maybe Louisville does.
You mean the program that went to the Bahamas to play their secret basketball game?
Well, I just think that's kind of, philosophy-wise. Like, I think Stein's coming from this Oregon system, and that's what they're doing, where Brohm is more old school.
He was coached by Schnellenberger, there's some power there. Yeah.
It's just they're not that one way is wrong or right. That's just what they're doing. And in the short term, we'll see, like, once Stein gets 3-4 years in, but they're both very portal driven. Like, the years for both of them are going to be driven by what they did in the portal this offseason. Like, if they had a good portal year, then they're going to have a good year on the field for both teams. Like, they're very portal driven. And, like, the quarterback's a big part of that. Did we hit on this quarterback? We got this backup that we decided to roll the dice with in the portal. Did we hit on them?
Well, when you're looking to – we've been sitting here handicapping this for 20, 30 minutes. We spent all summer handicapping what's going to happen in this upcoming college football season. And if you're feeling froggy, if you're going to use that knowledge, put it to the test with the Poly Market app. Go ahead, download that Poly Market app right now. You don't need a sports book when you can skip the VIG and you can trade against others in this prediction market. Whether you're knee-deep in Major League Baseball or you're looking at future markets in college football, whether there's win totals that are out there right now, early lines for games. Poly Market, it lets you trade or cash out instantly whenever you want. Sportsbooks, they'll block you for placing a trade, or will lock the cash out option button. That's not happening at Poly Market. Even if they let you cash out, those sportsbooks are going to hit you with a massive penalty. Not at Poly Market. It gives you the total freedom to buy in or sell out anytime. So go ahead, download that app. It's easy to use, looks great. It's nice, got a clean interface, and it's got so many different markets out there for you to trade. So Poly Market, they're so confident you'll never go back to the old way. They are challenging you by giving you a $20 bonus. Just use my link right now, On3. Download the Poly Market app. Use code On3, deposit $10 to get a $20 bonus on the Poly Market app. Trading not available in all jurisdictions. Check local regulations before trading. Restrictions and eligibility requirements for PA. Trading is risky. 100% loss can occur. Download the Poly Market app today. Use that code On3. All right, Luckett. It's been a week of fall camp. Is there a huge, I don't know, what are there any players that you were surprised to hear about? What's sort of the buzz? What fall camp is a grind. Like, let's make no mistake about it. Fall camp is a grind, and you can get bogged down by the grind. So what is it that pops off the page that you kind of get it itching to discuss a weekend?
Yeah, I put together, just from having conversations, seeing the practice, talking to people, put a list of a dozen players that have kind of gotten my antennas up, which is what I'm hearing, how people are talking about them, how their teammates are talking about them. One that stood out to me, Nick, was not a guy we talked about a ton, but Kalen Edwards, nose tackle. 6'4", 335. This is a former Auburn commit, like true nose tackle body.
Second-year player.
They needed nose tackle to emerge. There was a guy at Kentucky, like, tried to preserve his red shirt, but then ended up having to play him at the end as injuries kind of piled up. Played a lot in that Louisville game at the end, but really didn't really see him at all last year. But they're calling him, everyone's calling him Big K. And he's a big guy. And I think he can help them. And I think his emergence is important because they're going to need those snaps to fill behind Jamarian Harkless there at that kind of big run stuffing two-gapper potentially in the middle of the defense. So I think that's a nice one because they need to – hitting on him would be a good development, specifically hitting on him this year.
Which, you hate to say this out loud, but if you think back over the years, that is a position they just get their ass kicked, right? It doesn't matter how big you are. You're taking on double teams. Stuff happens in there. I was rewatching 2018 Kentucky-Florida last night. Quinn Bohanna rolls his ankle like the first drive. So, they got to go to Bully McCall. But hell, that was a guy who missed some time, right? Like, pretty much, I mean, they just do. That's just the nature of that position. Justin Rogers missed some time. Like, it happens. Josiah Hayes missed almost an entire season. Tavian Gadsden, I know he's more of a three technique. He did the same thing a couple of years ago as well. So a lot of, stuff like that. Like, it's just, there's a lot. There's just a lot going on. So it's important to have depth at that position. And the other one applies for nickel, whereas we've heard a lot. I mean, Aaron Gates, I think, is the real deal Holyfield, but you got to keep him healthy and trying to develop depth there. Andrew Purcell's the guy they're working out there. Kevis Thomas is one. I thought it was interesting that Jay Bateman said that they could put Terhyon Nichols there if need be. So there's a little bit of, if fall camp ends and you don't really like what you're at with nickel, then you can slide Nichols down to nickel because you like your outside cornerbacks better. So that option.
He said Sykes too. Yeah. To me, like the Kevis Thomas thing is just like maybe if we're in dime and we want Gates to do something else, just get Thomas in here to cover a slot receiver. Get a more like cornerback skill set. So I think that's where that is potentially maybe giving him like a defined role. This is all you're going to do. You're going to cover third and long. You're covering inside receivers potentially, or maybe even it's tight ends that want to be split out. So that's maybe the thing for him. I think Gates is a big one. Obviously, they talk about Aaron Gates like he's going to be one of the best players on this football team. So keeping him healthy, I think, is important. The O'Berry comments, like everyone was wondering what's going on with him. I I have some doubts. Maybe O'Berry's going to be like a standard downs player, but I think he's definitely going to help them as a pass rusher. And I think that's the plan.
Yeah, sort of a specialized role. Maybe not pound for pound Sack'em Souls replacement, but I get that sense. Whereas CJ Works, Lorenzo Cowan, Sam Green feel like you're more down to down. That also, I'm not gonna. We're gonna have a month of fall camp, and I'm still not gonna really get a sense for how those edge players will work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what I think's going to happen is you're going to have like a typical 4-3 defensive end, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be kind of Mike Queese, Humphrey Grace, who mostly is going to play kind of his hand in the dirt, but then we'll do some off-ball stuff or stand-up stuff. And I think that position is going to be like Humphrey Grace and Works. Then I think you're going to have your stand-up, traditional 3-4 outside linebacker, jack linebacker, who's going to stand up and maybe play to the typically that person had played to like the weak side of the field in like a 3-4 defense. That was kind of their weak side defensive end. I think that is like Sam Green, Lorenzo Cowan, Antonio O'Berry. So you're going to have two specific body types. I think you're going to have like you want that 6'4", 6'5", 250, 260 pound defensive end, hand in the dirt. And then you want that 6'3" to 6'5", 240 hybrid type guy who can play outside. I think that's what it's kind of look like. You're going to have two separate groups, and then they'll mix and match it in ways. Like I think they're going to let Humphrey Grace do some more kind of stand-up stuff and play at edge, but that's what I think it's going to look like. Now we'll see how that all shakes out. But yeah, figuring out how they're going to play on defense is going to be interesting. Just CJ Baxter talked about Ty Bryant is all over the place. Like to me, what that means is like he's playing in the box a lot. They're putting a lot on him to like just from a move around and where he's lined up. And he Jay Bateman talked about how safeties coach Josh Christian Young kind of has a pretty hard job because he's got two safeties that are like at a 500 and 600 level that we're going to use with Bryant and Castell because they've played so much. And to me, well, what does that mean, Adam? Well, I think that means like they're going to ask them to do a lot pre-snap to try to confuse quarterbacks and then roll something post-snap. And it's also like getting people lined up so they can run maybe some more complex stuff. But then behind them, they've got guys that just haven't played. Like with Martellus Carter going to running back, they really don't have a safety three. Like who is safety three? I don't know.
They mentioned Dylan Williams, and
Dylan Williams is the most talented player in that room. Now, is he ready to
who was the
play
other
for
guy
you?
they
Tyrus Reyes, Mississippi State transfer, who was a special teams dynamo.
And I think they mentioned the Pitt kid too.
And then Jesse Anderson, who I think they also could play at nickel. But Jesse Anderson, Pitt moved him a receiver last year. He's mostly played special teams in his career. So you've got those guys have been in college football for a while, but they haven't really played. So that's an interesting room but now one of the strengths of Brian and Castell has been durability. These guys have just played. They haven't missed time. Knock on wood, right? Like that's what they're dependent on with them. And so, I think you're going to see it's a different style of defense and how everything's utilized. But what I do know is Bryant and Castell are going to be huge and kind of like some of the pre-snap confusion and doing one thing but running another post-snap. They're going to be a big, I think, part of all of that.
This is just an aside, but man, Ty Bryant being good is it was one of those. I remember when they got him out of Douglas, and I was just like, I don't know how good he's going to be. He's a great athlete, but he reclass his leadership ability, the way he communicates, his work ethic. It's just, man, if he's good, this really helps the defense so much. And I think that's going to make this defense, it's going to bring them much farther along. Like I'm having a hard time articulating it, but you need to have somebody that everybody looks to. Ty always had the intangibles to do that. And he had the physical athleticism, but it's like, is he going to be good enough to be that leader? And the answer is yes. And that just gives me a lot more confidence going into this year. There's one other player I wanted to mention. I know you've got all of the 12 that you have your antennas up. Jacaden Ferguson is not somebody that I had bookmarked as a potential playmaker in that wide receiver room. We heard some stuff before camp. Like, I mean, technically he's a redshirt freshman. Now they're just going to go by sophomores. But it looks like he has a real chance to be wide receiver 2, wide receiver 4 in that. Like, he might be one of the first guys out on the field when this all starts. I don't know when Nick Anderson is starting with full go at practice, but it seems like he's taking advantage of Nick Anderson's working his way back in.
I would say this about Anderson, then we'll get to Jacaden Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Sloan talked about Nick Anderson's just leadership, which I thought that was interesting. And then there was a video of them going to the tailgaters. That's everyone's seen.
Right.
I think this was in
with
the All Access.
Yeah.
It was Ty Bryant, Colton Price, Willie Rodriguez. Those 3 guys, obviously, everyone knows at this point how big a part of the football team. You know who the 4th guy was?
It was Nick Anderson.
Nick Anderson. That got my antennas up.
Yep. It
made me say, hey, now. Okay, there's something there. So I still think they believe like Nick Anderson's going to be a huge part of this offense. Just he has practice. But and the way they talk, Nick, about CJ Baxter told us he's pretty much 100%. He's ready to go at practice. But it sounds like they're holding him out of stuff. I think that is just
purposeful.
We're just getting you to the season. Like,
yeah.
Let's just get you to the season.
Which might be the same with Anderson as well.
Which might be the same with Nick Anderson. Yeah. Now, there's been no real clarity on their injury situation. But I don't think it's a thing with Javonte Barnes. Like, Javonte Barnes not even doing really anything when we've been there in the spring. That was just spring game, open practice, whatever. So we'll see how that all plays out. But I definitely get the feeling that Baxter, they're just trying to get him to the season. It feels like Nick Anderson might be the same way. Now with Ferguson, Stein has talked about him being like a ball in hand receiver. Okay, Adam, what does ball in hand receiver mean?
Throw him a screen, let him run.
Thank Kendrick Law. Kendrick Law was a ball in hand receiver. Just get him the ball and let him create after the catch. Average depth of target, maybe not going to be very big, but that's a guy. Get the ball on screens and let him create after the catch. I think that's what Ferguson can potentially bring them. And I think Ferguson's got a real good chance, Nick, to be like kick returner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe punt returner. We'll see on punt return. But like I could definitely see him as kick returner.
He's also 6'2" or so. He's pretty
got
big.
Size. Like when I kind of watched his tape when he originally committed to Kentucky as a high school player, I wrote like big kind of X receiver who I think can win vertically, winning contested catches. Like the big thing with him, remember when he was a recruit, was at that OT 7-on-7, he made that big one-hand catch. Mm-hmm. And so he has the size, but like hearing that they like him as kind of a yak producer, like it's encouraging. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah.
Because we're dealing with a different I feel like I'm comparing apples to oranges here with the old regime, but there's always been a sort of wide receiver 4 guy who could kind of go in and flash, whether it was them throwing the screens to Anthony, was it Wright Brown? What was his height?
Anthony Brown Stevens.
There we go. You had David Bouvier, you had Charles Walker, you had Fred Ferrier. These are like wide receiver 4s that, really can pop at times, even though they aren't probably on the field nearly as much as the others. Whereas like, okay, I could see that role potentially evolving for Ferguson that I might not have expected initially. So keep an eye on number 5 throughout fall camp. Also, you need to visit this website for me. Please do me a favor, lgneed.ku/cashback, because you need cash back. You need cash in your pocket, and you probably have some energy saving appliances or thermostat, or you need to get a new AC, which, by the way, I know you're in a newer house, but people like me in older houses, if you got an old furnace, call your HVAC guy in advance before it breaks down. Because then when it breaks down, when it actually gets cold, that sucks. So get it checked now. And if you do get that new furnace, you're going to get a rebate from LG&E KU by upgrading to that qualifying energy efficient equipment. You can be eligible for rebates ranging from $250 to $1,650. $1,650 off. That's like paying for all of it, but that's paying for a lot of it. You're getting essential air, natural gas furnace, heat pump, water heaters, and much more. I think it also works for thermostats too that are automatically registered. So just learn more about residential rebates program by visiting lgne-ku.com/cashback. Upgrade your home, save energy, and get rewarded with LG&E-KU. Not LG&E dash. We're LG&E. KU is more like Central Kentucky. We're LG&E around these parts. LG&E, KU, taking care of you. Luckett, you mentioned C.J. Baxter and Javonte Barnes. What have you made of what we've heard about the running backs? Because Will Stein commended the young guys on Saturday, and then we got to hear from Colby Smith and them on Tuesday. Are you buying, or are you still? I don't know if this is. I'm buying or selling.
What exactly am I buying?
That Jason Patterson and Martellus Carter and or Tavani Mizell could be suitable depth pieces.
I think they landed C.J. Baxter and Javonte Barnes to be the 1-2. And I think the plan all along has been Jason Patterson, RB3. I think last year he was a fine RB3 in the SEC who can provide value in a third down back type role. So, yes, I will buy Patterson as being a RB3. I will buy that.
Right.
I think after that, I think Martellus Carter, really, Nick, I think he's a wild card. Like, I think there might be a scenario where he's the most explosive back on the team. And, like, he's got some real juice to him. Because I don't think they would have moved him here unless they thought, like, there's some real, like, he's bringing some stuff that maybe we don't have in the room right now. But I just don't know, like, I don't know what that looked like to him. Like, I think getting up big on Youngstown State or South Alabama early in the season might be big for him just to, like, get a more extended look at him. And then these scrimmages, I think, are going to be important for him.
When they showed the all access, the receptions were on Kenny Minchey Day, on that Saturday, the first day in pads. It was Willie Rodriguez catches, Caden Ferguson catches, and running back catches. A lot of running back receptions there. And that's where Carter makes sense to me, right? So, and maybe some of it too is just hearing from Colby Smith and kind of hearing from a hard ass in the room because we haven't gotten that really in recent years. Eddie Gran, don't F with that guy, right? Like he had those dudes in shape. Jay Boulware did not. John Settle, I think that the message kind of fell on deaf ears, perhaps. And he also didn't really recruit. So Colby Smith, he's not effing around. He is, I mean, I think he described Tavani Mizell as like a horse coming around the paddock.
He said light on his feet. Yeah.
But he's like, but I got to feel him. I'm not seeing it. He really got after Patterson in the spring. And then Patterson said this week, I loved it. And Smith didn't give him a ton of praise, but Will Stein did. So, like, it sounds like this sort of coaching is being received well, which gives me a little bit more optimism about the room. I'm not willing to go there and say that all of my questions, of which there are many, about the running backs have been answered. But this was this is what we probably needed to hear to start fall camp, right? C.J. Baxter's healthy, and Jason Patterson, who we actually kind of liked a little bit. All right,
he did some good things. There's areas he's got to improve. Like I do think, like some of the physicality and toughness as a runner, he needed improvement in.
Yeah,
like running inside the box. You weren't very impressed last year, I think, with him.
No.
Now, as a pass catcher, I like some of the stuff that he can do. But, yeah, I think running, he needed some more physicality in just hitting a top gear and running hard and sticking his face in the fan when you run up in there. I think needed some improvement.
Yeah. So those developments are nice to see. I do just also appreciate the all access feature because it was different in tone, Luckett, than just your highlight clips and here's people yelling at practice, the coach getting everybody fired up. No, it felt like you were really getting a sort of day in the life, particularly with our guy Willie Rodriguez, Luckett. And I talk about Willie being somebody from Central Casting, but it all just clicked when that video came out. Because when we ask him about his favorite tight ends, he always mentions George Kittle. The thing that people don't understand about George Kittle, I don't watch all that NFL film stuff like it, but every time a George Kittle clip drops, I watch it because he just starts laughing whenever he's doing something great. He just kind of this sort of menacing giggle when he's pancaking guys. And Willie did the same thing during practice. He's got like a one-handed catch, and he just starts like laughing at the defense. I freaking love that guy, man. He is my kind of maniac. It's got me so fired up to watch him this fall. That guy just built different.
Yeah, I think Willie. They got big plans for him. So
yeah,
he's going to be a huge part of the offense.
That one-handed catch. I know that you cannot live up to the Cam Coleman propaganda that we got early in week 1. But for Kentucky football fans, seeing a tight end get a one-handed reception in traffic, that's just, fire me up. Light me up. This is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to touch on in fall camp before we start to wrap things up?
We talked about him earlier, but, I mean, they talk about Terhyon Nichols like he's going to be the dude for them this year. So they're really high on him. So just know that going into the season, they really believe he's due for a big year. Big year here. Jordan Knox, we didn't talk about it here, Nick, but it sounds like he's, IOL 3. Like he's the top backup there.
And especially at center, which that's the part that popped out to me, Luckett, because I know you don't talk about backup centers often, but I had no idea who it would be. And it sounds like they're very comfortable with him in that role. And also that could be huge for next year. He's got 2 years of eligibility?
Right. I believe that's right. Yeah.
So you might have potentially your starting center for next year while you go out and recruit somebody to play that position from the high school.
Right. Yeah. No matter what, you probably, if the year goes well, he's going to start for you somewhere, whether it's center or guard. So, yeah, that would help a ton. Outside of that, backup quarterback, it's still – we'll see. I think the scrimmages are going to have a lot to do.
Yes.
Do with that. But, yeah, I think overall, like, health-wise, we haven't heard anything yet. Now, they haven't really started playing, like, real, physical kind of tackle football yet. But they're healthy, and vibes with Minchey are good, and they're still saying really good things about the offensive line. And defensively, I think they really like their secondary pieces with Nichols, Aaron Gates, Ty Bryant, Jordan Castell.
I got a kick out of Stein telling Ponatoski that there's a reason they moved you to pitcher, bud. So, he's got to get into shape. I think Sloan said he spent too much time standing on a mound all summer. So he's got to get moving. But, the Wither kid too, those comments I thought were interesting. Especially like they're not going to give him too much praise early on other than these guys know how to operate at the position. So we got to go see. Go roll the ball out there on Saturday, see how it goes. Which, speaking of this Saturday from 5 to 6, they're going to have Meet the Fan Day, which is basically just going to be an autograph session at Kroger Field, which I presume is after the scrimmage. I don't know if it's directly after. Because
I think they'll scrimmage. They'll probably go in,
cool off.
shower. Yeah. We get we talk to, I believe, Stein and the coordinators, and then it'll happen after all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something you can look forward to on Saturday. I know as far as, we get questions about Alex Safari, potential 5-for-5 additions. Kentucky is playing the wait-and-see game. And Greg Sankey, they're basically doing what Greg Sankey tells them, right? And Greg Sankey's telling everybody to hold their horse. If you notice, Luckett, that language that the Mississippi State report,
they're all using the same, like an onboarding type language. Yeah.
Yeah. We're initiating the process. Basically, like, we're going to get this guy if we get the all clear. Whereas Kentucky's not willing to say that about Alex Safari. And Luckett, I think for some of that reason is because Bo Barnes might just be awesome. So, like,
yeah, I think it's
like, do you want to about it? You could cut your nose off to spite your face if you bring Alex Safari back. Is I think something that people need to consider.
Well, I think about it like this: you need 3 linebackers to get through a football season, in my opinion.
Correct.
You got to have 3 guys ready to go, and obviously Barnes is one of the 3. But I think they feel good about Antoine Smith.
So if you feel good about Antoine Smith, you want to go out on a limb for Alex Safari.
Right.
It's just
right. You would think if they were going in that direction, they would have onboarded him.
Yeah.
At this point,
so
you would think.
I'm
not saying that's right or wrong, but that's what everyone else is seemingly doing, bringing players back. And all these guys too, Nick, like the 2 Mississippi State players played at Mississippi State last year. The Texas offensive guard, Cole Hudson, played at Texas last year. So,
4 same coaches, too, correct?
Right.
I guess Zach Arnett's coming back.
But same head coach. Like, Levy's still there, and then obviously Sark at Texas. But
people don't mention that enough, too, that Zach Arnett is back at Mississippi State. That's just –
yeah, I did in the mailbag a couple weeks ago. I ran through all, like, the coordinator changes, and that was when it was like, oh,
yeah.
There's some unique ones, like with that one, and then like Muschamp at Texas, which is kind of crazy that he's back at Texas. There's some interesting ones.
Which another interesting thing, is it the Jags camp or the Bucks camp that has all the Florida quarterbacks, where Felipe Franks is catching passes from Kyle Trask and Will Greer?
I believe that's the Bucks. Will Greer just retired, I think I read a couple weeks ago.
So odd.
I do like these quarterbacks. They get out there to camp and they're like, you know what, I'm out. Like Teddy Bridgewater, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, this is too much. Which, speaking of Felipe Franks, I went back and rewatched that 2018 game last night, and we have a rewatch playlist. If you want to go back and watch full games, there's about 20 on there. It's a great way. There's nothing on TV this time of year. Just fire up one of those games. It's a fun watch. Because you get some little reminders like it. And the late game reminders, one of them I forgot, the Bunchy Stallings block that made him an All-American, that was on 3rd and 1 when Kentucky needed a first down to milk the clock to force Florida. That basically won the game. I forgot how high the stakes were in that situation, but they ran a trap counter, whatever you want to call it, with Bunchy pulling, and he just buries that guy. And that got the first down that essentially won the game for them. It was a game-winning block. You don't get that very often, but that was before the 2-minute warning existed in college football. So Kentucky was able to run the ball down before Max Duffy pinned him with like 40 seconds left. So like that was a fun reminder. The other reminder too, there was a reason why we were sweating until that block happened. It's because Florida went on a 99-yard drive where I remember the dropped interceptions because Beatty had one in the end zone where he just got his eyes up late and couldn't get his hands on it. And there was another one that was either Mike Edwards or Devontae Robinson was playing nickel where Franks made a terrible throw on a comeback. Like, dude, why are you throwing a comeback on a rope? He just throws it on a rope, and it just – I think the nickel was shocked that the ball was right there. He should have caught it. It would have been a pick six. But instead of getting air under it, the ball goes right there, missed interception. The one I forgot about that 3rd and 28 where they let Frank scramble for like 20 yards And then
Yeah.
on 4th and 7, they just hit the check down to keep the drive. That 99-yard drive, 15 plays, that was one of those that I know every Kentucky fan out there was just like, well, here we go again. We're going to lose on something stupid. So,
it felt like Kentucky was kind of in control of that game, and they just couldn't like really extend the lead, and Florida just kind of hung around, and you thought, like, oh no, they can't. Are we going to lose like this again? But the Panthers is a team. Franks is a tight end for the Panthers, and Trask is the quarterback. And
wrong NFC South team.
I think Luke Fortner is going to start for them at center this year for the Panthers.
He started the last 5 games of the season for the Saints last year.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, they took a center in like the 5th round, but I think that's probably a little camp battle going on. But I would say he's probably the favorite to start at center there for the Panthers.
Shout out to Luke Fortner, fan of the program. Maybe we get him on before the season starts. That'd be a good time. Catch up with.
It could be one of your Tuesday guests.
There we go. There we go. All right. I'm trying to think. Anything else that we might have missed? Oh, Steve Wilt's phone had some great stuff on 2028 prospects. I know that you aren't probably thinking recruiting right now, but this in-state class is very talented, better than even I expected at some point. So, and it's not just Intel and Keelan Hall. Graydon Reed, it's a guy too, potential reclass option at 27. If you aren't on KSR Plus, $30 for a year. Do it. Fall camp sale. Like, the amount of content, Kentucky football content right now is unprecedented. It's all in one place. $30 for a year. You're going to get it all. So do us a favor. Sign up now during the fall camp sale. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out a ton. And this has been a lot of fun, Luckett. And I guess we'll be talking soon. Not exactly this week, but we're going to be talking a lot more together. I hope you don't get annoyed by me just yet.
Well, if it hasn't happened yet, I think they'll probably stick around for our new little programming schedule.
Should be a lot of fun. We'll let you know when win totals are, because I honestly, Luckett, I've been so busy, I haven't even looked at them. I don't know one.
I've got a few cooked up. A lot in the Big 12 I like. So we'll get to those.
Oh, it's going to be a lot of fun. We appreciate you all hanging out with us today on 11 Personnel. Remember, we're going to be at Monticello Bank noon Wednesday, August 19th, Beaumont location in Lexington. Come hang out with 11 Personnel crew. Check out Monticello Bank, NBCbank.com, Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. Go Cats and go banking.